With me now is Negar Mortazavi. She is a consultant editor at The Independent. But first, give me your thoughts on this. The Pentagon says, no. International airspace. Iran says, over our airspace. What do you make of it?
Well, I don't have access to the intelligence, and I guess until we see evidence, the Iranian foreign minister has said he's going to bring the evidence to the UN. So as long as an international body or more of a neutral front takes a look at the intelligence or evidence on both sides, I don't think we should make a clear decision. We have to remember that just as the Iranians can't really be trusted with this kind of intelligence, we also have people in the White House right now who were involved in the prelude to the Iraq War in 2003, and intelligence was misrepresented, to put it mildly, back then. So I guess we have to wait for a more international body to take a look at everything.
It's interesting you bring that up because it leads right into my next question. The Atlantic has an op-ed piece titled "Bolton Keeps Trying to Goad Iran into War," referring, of course, to the National Security Advisor, which kind of alluded to, who has said for years, really, he's advocated taking military action against Iran. Before he was with the administration in 2015, I think it was a New York Times piece. Are you concerned at all that those hardline, hawkish elements in the White House may have the ear of the U.S. president?
Well, I think they do, and it's very concerning. We have to remember there are hawkish elements also in Iran who welcome attention, who will thrive under a situation where the commanders will be put in touch and they can basically silence their own more moderate critics or the opposition inside the country, because this is not just an external tension, military tension with the U.S. This will give them more internal power to basically crack down on dissent or any kind of opposition. But at the same time, we see that President Trump seems adamant in not wanting the war. I just read a Daily Beast report saying President Trump has actually privately asked some of his advisors to tone down the tough rhetoric on Iran. And today, from his comments after the attack on the drone, it seems like he's trying his best to somehow de-escalate the situation. But then at the same time, if he doesn't want war, this is not the best strategy to stay away from the war. We're at the brink of a military confrontation every day, and things can really easily escalate in the region.
Shinzo Abe trying to play this role as a mediator. He got the blessing from the U.S. president. It famously failed. In the past, we've seen, Oman try and move into that space. It has a pretty good relationship with the U.S. and Iran. Is there somebody out there on that sphere that you see kind of on the periphery that could kind of step in, kind of bring down the temperature somewhat and kind of play that mediator role?
I wouldn't say Shinzo Abe completely failed. He conveyed a message, and then he got a message that basically the Supreme Leader, maybe we can call it, laid out some preconditions. As long as you have sanctions on, we're not going to negotiate with you. So if sanctions are lifted, and then that might be a different situation. That could be the signal coming from Iran. It's also coming from the Iranian president. But Japan was a good force because Shinzo Abe has good relations with President Trump, and he's seen as this neutral yet powerful entity by the Iranians. Oman or Iraq, they both have good relations. Even Qatar has tried. And then, of course, we always have Switzerland, who's seen more as a neutral and also a powerful force. But also from the viewpoint of Iranians, Switzerland is seen more in the camp of the West. So all these different mediators, I think, should step in. Also, the European Union seems to be very concerned on behalf of most of the European powers, because if there is another military conflict in the region and we have another crisis like Syria, the worst case scenario, then who's going to get all the refugees? It's Europe. So this is a security issue for them. This is something that Europeans really care about on their doorstep right next door. And then also as far as the nuclear ambitions of Iran, if that nuclear program turns into a weapons program, that's something Europeans are very concerned about.
It's interesting. You and I were sitting on this set about 11 months ago in July talking about the tensions between these two countries, and you said, I don't see it getting any better. 11 months later, is that kind of your sentiment now? How do you see this thing playing out?
I think we're at a dangerous juncture, but then at the same time, I still think President Trump is using the blueprint he used on North Korea. So his ultimate goal is that photo op, that deal that he's been talking about. And he's using all this pressure and escalation, I think, in a way to bring the Iranians to the table. So at some point, we might see the escalation, but at the same time, it's a very dangerous game that they're playing, and the Iranians are also very good at playing this dangerous game. So I guess if President Trump really wants to de-escalate and get to that negotiation table, now is the time to actually do it instead of, moving forward with this military tension in the region.
Negar, always a pleasure. Thanks